because of diversity of species we have. Then we shall get to look at why we have so many species that can enable us to tap into this ecotourism in the country by looking at things like birding hotspots, and look at the major contribution of uh, birding or ecotourism in Kenya. So to take us through what is ecotourism, and this is just tourism that people take out to travel to different habitats and to see new species of birds. And this can be either domestic or international tourism. You can take a ride and walk down in a given habitat as yourself and look at birds and enjoy them, and look at travel to other places, and that's tourism. So birding plays a very significant role in tourism in Kenya, in industry in Kenya, and also around the world. And we found that, for example, in 1999, it was estimated that about 40% of tourism in Southern Africa that contributed a lot of economic stability of the country came from the birding tourism. And also, we've also realized that in the US itself, we found that bird watchers are estimated to spend probably something roughly $2.5 billion just each year on tourism. And out of these, 40% of American lovers are able to travel to other places just to have an opportunity to see new species of birds. So you find that birds become a very iconic things in our economy if we can tap it very well and utilize it. Other countries are doing it, and why not? We can do it and do what you call tourism diversification. Um, when we talk about agritourism, we find that approximately 46.7 million people, just hold on. Can I do this thing? It is. I think we find that approximately 46.7 million people get out to observe birds around their homes and made round trips. That was around what was estimated in 2011. So you find that agritourism, for example, in South Africa, estimated that by 1997, between 11,400 to 21,200 bird watchers spent between 12 to 26 million. Yeah, that's approximately 2.6 billion shillings in Kenya annually in in the South African economy. So you see how birds can, if we tap in very well, because these areas have really tapped into birding very well, and we shall see how we can tap in in these opportunities and how it can help us into raising bird economy during using agritourism. So bird watching is growing very fast in Kenya because birders want to see many species. Agritourism means just seeing a lot of species, being able to see a lot of charismatic species, being able to see that unique species that are found somewhere. And that's all what bird watchers are doing today. And that's why people will leave their countries, travel to other countries just to see new species. Better part of present tourists actually realize that are repeaters, because if we go to a tour company and you get how many people are coming on that tour at that time, you find that maybe some are coming for the second time, third time, and even fourth time. And if you've been coming for the first time and second time, you've seen all the big charismatic animals, and then the birds are now become a tapping place to go for. And that's why we say that if our tourism can motivate birders to be part of these arrangements of our tourism. You find that they can identify ways in which they can motivate our tourists to get into birding, because when they come the second time and third time, what are they seeing? Some of them will have really got into birding and they want to see more species of birds. The elephant is just the same elephant. The cats are just the same, and you cannot see, you may want to see them for another time, but birds are so many and diverse, and you want to visit other places because of their presence in different areas. And also birds are found virtually everywhere. So you want to get to those places and see something different. So birds are there for the next target, and they are many and diverse, and they're beyond even protected areas. Yeah. Most of the charismatic animals, huge cats and elephants, will be found in protected areas, but birds can be everywhere in beyond protected areas. And that's why birding in tourism will really produce a lot of things to look at. So sorry for interruption. So Kenya as a country enjoys a wider topographical diversity, with areas all the way from the mountains, the snow-capped mountains, to moving down into the Rift Valley with all the with its scarps and volcanoes, ancient granites, mountains, and so on. Flat deserts, landscapes, and coral reefs and islets. All these provide perfect habitats for birds. And as we move even downer, the warmer white sands beaches along the East African coastal lines also as very nice places for the people to go for holiday safaris and so on. And so this provides huge areas in terms of people wanting to travel to different places and see many other different things. So with all this diversity of landscapes, diversity of habitats, we are now starting to have a lot of sceneries and wildlife to look at. Why is it moving? So sorry, and the mouse is not moving. So bird tourism is about species diversity. As you've seen, Kenya has one of the most richest bird life in the world, and actually in Africa, hence regarded by most people as bird watchers paradise. And for this small country, a size of probably just a small state in America, like let's say Texas, Kenya has one of the richest species diversity, ranging to 1,100 species recorded across the country so far, with some of them becoming migrants from Europe, and it also having 8 species that are endemic only to Kenya. So some of these species, as you've seen, uh, the diversity is in because of migration. Migration is a big, we've got one of the best and huge migrations of birds in Africa. Actually, having the Rift Valley gives us the opportunity to have a lot of visitors, especially birds that are coming from Europe and get into the Rift Valley in the Middle East and come all the way into East Africa down to South Africa. We become very nice, very strategic for migration of birds. And this can really play a very important role if we can have sites just for bird watchers looking at migratory raptors, migratory storks, and so on, the shorelines, which provide a lot of species to see. So we find migration provides a lot of birds. Besides Eurasian or Palearctic migrants, the birds are coming into from Russia, Middle East, Siberia. We have also Afrotropical migrants that come from probably South Africa, coming from South Africa to Kenya, and others, probably other Afrotrop migrants coming from Malagasy, that's in Madagascar, getting into the country. Then this forms one of the, all these, when they come in, because birds from Europe, when they come in, they stay in quite a long, a number of months. That's from, let's say, from October all the way to March. That's a long time. So they become a part of us, and they become our birds. And people can really, people coming from America or Canada will want to make such a opportunity to see or to watch such a interesting species. We so topography and climate plays a very important role. So we found that Kenya lies across the equator with a range of altitude of probably somewhere around 5,199 meters above the sea level to all the way to the coastal line. So topography and climate are highly varied. So they make us have wonderful different types of habitats that will have a generation of a lot of very unique vegetation types. And these vegetation types is what really provides for different species of birds. And we find this is one of the key things that help with our species diversity. Something. Okay. So looking at this map, we find that another thing that makes us very unique in this region, it's about to do with we are recognized or placed into what we call endemic bird area, whereby what some of the species we have are really endemic just to Kenya. And we have got these endemic sites that we call the Somali Maasai biome, which is the most widespread and has the most representative of species that diversity we have. For example, this place has 129 species, and out of this, Kenya has 94 species. So you find it gets a chunk of the species in that kind of biome or endemic sites. And then we've got what we call the Guinea Congo forest biome. This is the only one represented in Kenya, and this is gets to Kakamega Forest, which is represented by 43 of the species that are found within this region. We have also what you call the African coastline or coast species, and out of the 38 species, you see we have 29 species, which is really, really a huge number of it. And then, of course, because of, as we've seen from different habitats, the mountains and so on, we've got the Afrotropical highlands, which are so important, and they have quite a number of species, the birds we find. Out of the 226, Kenya has 70 species. And then, of course, when you go down to Lake Victoria, which is another endemic site that we have got 9 species out of the 12 species of the Lake Victoria region, which actually covers between Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. So you find that we have a lot of species diversity in those areas. So looking at this map, it shows us the region of diversification of species. So you see it is coming all the way from West Africa into the western part of the region, goes down into the central highlands and some parts of the Rift Valley, and diversity goes now towards the coastal lines. So this yellow represents the most diverse species area. And as we know, this is the area that is found along the equator. So we found we've really a nice area of this that will assist us into species diversity. And actually this is where most of birds are recorded, as well as we shall go and see, especially looking at the important bird area map. So looking at this map that we've just mentioned, we found that this is what we call the important bird areas. And we have now, I think, recorded 67 sites in the country. Importance for bird conservation. They used to be, they've been growing from 60 and then all the way to 67 because of the research that has been carried out. And you find that 35 are found within what you call protected areas. Protected areas are things like the national parks, marine parks, and national reserves like county reserves, national parks. while others, because we've just realized that birds don't understand what we call by protected areas, so they'll be found in other areas, what we call the non-protected areas, which will include community trust land, irrigation scheme areas, private lands, some even going towards the swamp areas like the sewage treatment plants, which provide huge populations of birds. And as we compare this map of IBA, we can see where most of our diversification is coming from, probably from west all the way into the central rift and all the way towards the coastal line. And as you can see, the northeastern part of the country is not well covered, and so there are not much that has been done here. But if we come back to this map that is showing diversity, you find that it shows the same thing, which means there may be quite some few species here, but this map says that most diverse areas of species is this region we can see that is covered yellow, which is much represented by this map we have of IBA, or important bird areas. So when we look at this, IBS, we developed what we developed work to call hotspots, because when a tourist is coming to Kenya, or when you're having an itinerary and you want to find out where you want to see the most birds, you look at hotspots in Kenya where you can find the key birds, endemic birds, or rare birds that you can pick up easily. And as we've mentioned, bird tourism is all about numbers. How many numbers of birds can I see in Kenya when I visit in June, when I visit in September, when I visit in December? So you find that from the north, we are looking at hotspots, and we start from the north by looking at the Shaba National Reserve and Samburu National Reserve, whereby these reserves have more than 380 species that are really key to these areas. And it represents the Maasai Somali, what you call the Maasai Somali biome, of which we've just seen that this area produce about, in the region produce 92 species, and Kenya in this area you record 61 species. So this is a very key area when you're looking about tourism, because here we can talk about avian tourism as well as big mammal tourism. And we found that this area is very unique because of some of the species that are found here are coming all the way from Somalia, others coming from Ethiopia, and some of them reach here as the threshold limit. So it's not only birds that you'll see in this area, but also mammals, some of which are like the Grevy's zebra, which is actually endangered species. And in this area, we can also find very unique species, and one of them, some of the species like Somali ostrich, or the white-eyed, the white-headed mouse bird, some of the species that we'll find only in these regions of the highlands, of the drylands, and also things like the sparrow weaver, that is the sparrow weaver that we have on the slide, and also things like sand grouse and so on. These are the species that you'll pick in from these areas, which are very unique. Yeah. So southern part of it makes a very unique area, and we've got restricted, rare animals like reticulated giraffes and so on. So you can combine in this area, you can combine the unique species of birds as well as unique species of mammals that you may not see anywhere else across the country. So from the north, we go all the way and come inside the Rift Valley, where we've got our Rift Valley lakes are so important for tourism, because they provide habitat. They provide two types of wetlands, and we've got what we call the freshwater lakes, and also the saline lakes. Both of these will have unique species diversity. For example, the saline lakes, which is represented by Lake Nakuru, Baringo, and Bogoria, provides a site for feeding sites for the lesser flamingos, which feed on the algae. And these populations of these flamingos attract a lot of people, especially a lot of tourism, especially when we had a problem with Nakuru having the flooding and water was becoming brackish and fresh. Most birds preferred Lake Bogoria. And it's by understanding where birds are, you can diversify your tourism, because when birds leave this area, you should make a follow-up and understand where they are. And fresh waters, as you can see in these two slides, this is the marshes in Naivasha, which can produce a lot of species diversity. Some of them are huge enough for tourism. You can see from a distance, the storks, the herons, the ducks, and so on. So these two kind of habitats, the fresh water and saline water within the rift, some of them within the short distance from each other, can really provide a lot of tourism without any hectic of movement and so on. So from this, we go to another hotspot for bird tourism is the Masai Mara. As we may see, many people will go to Masai Mara, especially this time of the year, all the way to September, October, because of big migration of wildebeest. But we found that uh, these rolling grasslands and riverine forest thickets and acacia thickets and crotons provide a lot of species. And it's been counted that approximately about 500 species of birds can be recorded here. And the key of them are the cisticolas, which most of people don't want to follow because they look almost the same, and they are some of the very nice species. And because of these rolling grasslands, this will be a nice place for cisticolas. The area is also very good for birds of prey. And because of its open, the birds of prey can hunt huge birds of prey like martial eagles and steppe eagles. And above all, this is the best prey for place for feeding for almost all the species of vultures. And as you can see in one of these on the top right photo, whereby we've got, I think, 3 species of birds, and those are um, the marabou stork, the white-backed vulture, and the Ruppell's griffon vulture. I'm sure somebody watching this in a river on Masai Mara will only see the migration and crossing of big zebras and the gnus, but he will forget to mention and point out how the vultures are cleaning the river and then becoming a very important aspect of our ecosystem, because they provide a very unique and queer ecosystem service that we may not realize when we were in Mara, especially now, because these are the animals that will feed on almost to the 70% of what will be have been left carcasses rotting in the Masai Mara, and they clean it away. And here you see they even cleaning the rivers. So by the time the wildebeests have gone, some are dead, the vultures will have done a very wonderful job, and they will have left Mara not smelling and accommodating for tourism. And then huge elephants and other animals are really attractive, but I would like to have also, as tour leaders, tour guides, when you go to such areas, to point these things out and point how important they are and how vultures are really facing a very huge problem, especially now when you see they are found at the top of the food chain, and they become very vulnerable when we face things like human wildlife conflicts. So as they are feeding here, they will do the same, especially during the non-migration time, and they can eat on carcasses that might have been poisoned by the people, the local people, and hence becoming the victims of these human wildlife conflicts. Other animals, especially during migration, we've got storks. Beyond these big animals like vultures, we've got white storks that will migrate, and people will very much appreciate the flying patterns and lying patterns and feeding patterns of these storks, especially in the Mara, in the open plains where there's lots of insects like grasshoppers, and the storks will just learn to feed. So you find that when you go to Mara, especially at different times of the year, during wildebeest migration and bird migration, you might not even realize how what we can call slow tourism or high peak season tourism. If you can arrange your itinerary very well and market it very well, you find that you'll find visitors of different diversity at different tastes at different times of the year, and you find that your business will keep on going with a proper marketing and advertisement. So Mara becomes a very unique place that we can talk all the time. From this, we come and look at different types of forests we have and as key areas. And these are, we start with them. We have all the way from tropical rainforest, the highland forests, as we've seen, all the way to the lowland forest of the coastal lowland forests. That's Arabuko, Sokoki, and each are unique in their own way. For example, the tropical rainforest in the west lies within the Lake Victoria catchment area, which is a mid altitude rainforest, and most species here are found nowhere else in the world because in the country, not in the world, but in the country, because they have got that affinity. The area is the easternmost limit or boundary of West African affinity forest, tropical rainforest. So the species will remain on this side. Those West African species will remain in this side. So if you're planning your itinerary and you want to see some of these species, you make sure that you visit this place, and this is what you, some of the species you can see. For example, the green bulls are very unique to this area, whereby you've got almost 8 species of green bulls that can be found in the country, and colorful birds like turacos, and also now the endangered gray parrot, which can now be seen according to some statistics that are coming in. These birds can now be seen. So this is an area you can visit for specific species of West African affinity. And most avian, the good news here is that a lot of information has been gathered about the bird species and where they can be found, because this is an area where early researcher, bird researchers like Zimmerman established his ringing stations and captured a lot of birds and wrote a lot of information. And in this area, the uniqueness is that it has most of the forest-dependent species. Forest-dependent species means that these are the species that cannot survive when the forest is cleared. And these huge numbers of 194 species are just really something that we can look at, especially when you're thinking about the conservation of these areas and the visit of these areas. Mount Kenya forests or mountainous forests are also very, very important in our tourism, today's tourism. Together with the Aberdares and Mount Elgon, Mount Kenya has mountain species, especially if we look at local regional mountain species, which is a total of 67, we find 57, which is a huge number that are found in this area. Yeah, that's of the African biome species within at least 53 forest specialists, those species that can only depend on the forest and they cannot even move anywhere. That's meaning that when the forest is timbered with, these species cannot survive anywhere. So they will look for, their lives will be in danger in terms of disturbance of these areas. So 6 out of 8 of Kenya's mountain EBA are found in this area. And because of different altitudes, all the way from the lower mountain to the top of the mountains, they have got a lot of species in the moorlands, in the grasslands, in the bamboo, in the hegenia, and so on. So they become a very important area for bird species diversity and tourism as well. So last is the last type of the forest is from Afromontane is with other pockets of the forest that have been separated for quite long. These are the Taita Hills, which are very important endemic bird area, as well as Mount Kulal in the south, in the north, I mean. So they have been isolated over a long period of time and hence becoming a center of speciation. So this means that when they were separated, species could not meet probably for procreation and so on. And those species that were separated all that way remained species on would come into their own type of species. For example, the white ice. Yeah, we found that the white ice that you found in Mount Kulal would just be specific on that mountain. The white eye that you found on Taita Hills, so which will be different from those ones found in other highland forests. And for example, the Taita Hills and Mount Clare. Taita Hills, to be very specific, it has one of the richest endemic species that we have in the area, and really a forest that is facing a lot of threats because it's one of the most fragmented forests. So these forests are linked and are likened, or the resemblance of what you call the Tanzanian Malawi mountain of East African forests. And we found that out of the 29 species of this region, 4 are Kenyans endemic that are found just to the Taita Hills. So it makes it to be very important site for birds. So in this photo, which is not very clear, we've got what we call on the top left is the Taita thrush. It's not very clear, but that's how it looks like. It looks almost like the like the Abyssinian or the olive thrush that we have present. And the left bottom, we've got the Taita white eye. It's not very clear. And then we've got also it's a center of nice types of green bulls, and this is the silver-cheeked green bull that you'll find only in this area. And then one of the very widespread to other areas that shares with other areas is the white-starred robin that can be found all to other mountain forests or highland forests. So you find it's a very unique area. And if you're planning your itinerary, if you visit the place, you find that you'll pick out things that nobody else will pick somewhere in some different places. So down now we go to the lowland coastal forest where we've got the Arabuko-Sokoke forest. That's the East African coastal endemic bird area. And it's one of the very most important for bird conservation in Africa. Yeah, and for this reason, the area has 6 globally threatened species. Yeah, 5 of the 7 of the East African coastal forest endemic areas are found in this area. And one of the species that is very unique to the area, and it can only be found here and the Takaja woodland forest, is the Clark's weaver. And then the other species that has been is common here and only one site in the northeastern Tanzania is what I have on the photo. That is the Sokoke scops owl. So it's one of the very important place for bird conservation. And as you know, when we talk about bird conservation, we have other unique species of things that will be conserved in those areas, including mammals, including plants, including even butterflies, including snakes. So you find it's one of the very unique areas in biodiversity. And just visiting the area, when you have your itinerary planning, you find that you fetch quite a number out of these areas, especially using the local guides in the area. And this becomes very good, especially when you're looking at what we are looking on what we call ecotourism. Such areas become very important because it's not easy just to get in and see the birds. You need to rely on the local people. Next slide. So from the coastal forest, just next by, we've got the coastal shoreline, which is very important. Coastal shoreline of East Africa, which is very important. And these are some key areas include the Sabaki River estuary or Sabaki River mouth, and which is actually one of the great attraction to most bird watchers in the area. And talking about tourism and birds, many other countries, as you've seen in our beginning, get a lot of business on tourism. Yeah, tourism coming to watch birds in those areas. But here, this area can easily be made into a greater bird sanctuary, and which can be managed actually by the local people. And by doing this, it will attract more birders, and it will attract even other biodiversity research people with such a facility like a bird sanctuary. It will also encourage research. We shall understand more. Yeah, the coastline is an important flyway also, and needs constant monitoring. As you just mentioned, if this site can be made as a bird sanctuary, and some groups can just be around to monitor migrating birds, and some, because of the migration, they can attract tourism that can come to see both shore small shorebirds, and even terrestrial birds. As you see, the area has got a unique sightings for things like what we've just seen above. So it becomes an internationally important due to hosting of species like in the picture. That's the crab plover, which is one of the migratory to the sites, and other species like greater sand plover, lesser sand plover, and so on, which migrate to the sites, including other things like terns. So next. So we've looked at some of the habitats we have in Kenya, but we forget one of the very great critical habitats we have. The agroecological areas that we have in the country, and also wetlands that we have in the country that are man-made, can be such a wonderful areas and sites for birds. It can attract bird watchers, it can attract birds. For example, gardening, forest rehabilitation, arboretums, and systems of farming that we call agroforestry that encourages growing of indigenous trees in between stable stands of agricultural crops play a very important role in attracting different species of birds. Sustainable wetlands management can also provide alternative habitats for birds, among others, uh, and among other communities of biodiversity. And this photo I'm showing on the top is just showing the top one and the middle one. It's showing two different scenarios. One above is tea farming in Asia, and the second one is tea farming in Africa. So you find tea farming in Asia on the top. They have left some strips of wild vegetation, and they have incorporated what we call grasses and other things in the tea farming, and the tillage is not permanent. So in such a type of farming, it means they attract a lot of wildlife. They'll attract insects, they'll attract birds, they'll attract other biodiversity, and it can become really a key area for birding if this can be incorporated in our current or present day farming. Such strips will host, like, in the country. I can think of areas like Garicho. I can also think of areas like grassland areas like Kinangop, whereby if we are to cultivate and leave some strips of native indigenous habitats, these habitats can attract unique species in those areas. Like in Kinangop, it can attract things like breeding grounds for the sharp slonglo. In these areas, like in Kenya, this photo in the middle was taken in Katamayu Forest. So such areas, if it can be compared to the area I have above, it can attract a lot of species of birds, and it can be one of the birding areas we can have. Wetlands are playing a very important role. Like in Kenya, we've got uh, man-made wetlands, and sewage treatment plants have played a very significant role in hosting huge populations of migratory ducks, both migratory and local ducks. And of late, from our accounts of January this year, we realized that flamingos have really found the areas as avenues for opportunistic feeding, whereby in Dandora, we caught about 42 lesser flamingos feeding. And in Nakuru, there were more flamingos uh, on the sewage ponds compared to the lake inside because of the change in the salinity of the Nakuru lake. So you find some birds preferred a lot to feed on the sewer treatments. So if these places can be managed sustainably, you can visit easily the sewerage and do your birding with your people or the clients. Here in Nairobi, Dandora, lots of populations of birds, and actually it's an important bird area. Such areas, we've not really looked at them when we are marketing our tourism, and it becomes a very easy place to go because maybe you may not need a lot of protocols to get in. You may need just to make a phone calls or make arrangements with the locals, and then that's the places you can go and you can go and see birds, especially if we can be sure that flamingos will stay. Why not to go to Dondora and just look at flocks of flamingos using those wetlands? and other populations of ducks that are migrating from Europe, and also storks and even waders. So these man-made habitats, or these converted natural habitats into man-made, into agricultural habitats, can really play a very important role if we can think wisely and make use of them. So next we find that, okay, let's look at current status about when you talk about birding and tourism in Kenya, and see what actually we've done that has been able to promote tourism, bird tourism in Kenya. We still have to do a lot, but things are happening. We cannot really compare with other countries, but really things are happening that we can look at and say, really, we are going places as far as attracting birding and birding spirit in Kenya. So between, for example, 1996 and 2021 now, budding tourism and awareness has experienced a very fast growth, expanding from Nairobi here with the many activities happening all the way to the remote areas like Northern Kenya or Western Kenya or Eastern Kenya. Budding companies have really increased from what we used to call East African ornithological safaris in 1990s. Everybody knew East African ornithological safaris, to many tour companies. Some of them are being run by young Kenyans. So this is a really good spirit of birding that is coming out. People are learning, people are understanding, then people are using the knowledge to turn into attraction of tourism in Kenya in terms of birding. So wildlife safaris do their repeating clients, as we've mentioned, are receiving even more requests for pure birding trips. And we've seen this at Nature Kenya, and also uh, uh, ornithology section, people requesting information on where they're receiving bird watches, and they need bird guides and so on. They need information on where to go to see some birds. So this is really a huge improvement in terms of getting people to understand our habitats, understand our biodiversity, understand our conservation measures, and such things can really help into further tapping into conservation. So just some few things we can cherish of as today is what we call Wednesday Bird Walk, organized by Nature Kenya, and this has been on ever since 1972 until present. It's still going on. It has been a little bit shaky because of this situation of pandemic, Corona, but still the Wednesday Bird Walk have been one of the most wonderful thing every birder has gone to, and everybody who has picked birding or who has picked up bird tourism or as a guide has been on this Wednesday Bird Walk. Many people visiting the country, especially for conferences, they know about Wednesday Bird Walks in Nairobi. And people will stop in and say, oh, I had a meeting, I dropped in, but I heard about this birding, and they'll come and enjoy birding with our birders around here in Nairobi. So this has been concentrated in Nairobi, organized by Nature Kenya. And I'll talk about these other things in detail, but Wednesday Bird Walk has really been a key thing. Another thing is just water bird census, as we shall discuss also below. Global birding days. These are activities that have attracted a lot of birding in the country. Bird ringing activities in Nairobi and in Ngulia. Publications that we've made have really made a really huge increase in awareness about birds since 1992 to present, as we shall see. And then fundamentals of ornithology course, a course that really has attracted people. So let's look at, for example, bird ringing. Ngulia has been really a key hotspot area when it comes to bird ringing and awareness about birds in Kenya. And it has really, this ringing at Ngulia since 1969 to 2020 last year, has really marketed their site and has really improved our understanding of about birds movement, and has really attracted a young people who come in now that uh, during this pandemic, it was a little bit difficult to organize, but it was so interesting that young Kenyans would come up, and some of them who are really bird guides or tour leaders in birding industry come up and organize this and take part in this. So with Kenyans taking part in this kind of activities, when they go out, they can be really good ambassadors. They can know exactly where they want to take their clients and what time of the year. So by themselves, they really improve awareness about our birds, both at local and international. So weekly bird ringing here at the National Museums of Kenya has really also supported a lot of people, interns, students, tour guides, tour leaders, tour operators, to understand more. And when you go back to your company, you make a huge asset as a person who want to for your company, for the clients to come back again and again and again. So ringing activities by Rocha Kenya at the coast, especially now that they are doing ringing for studies and they're studying now the migration behavior of the red-capped robin and also the mangrove kingfisher. So also they are biling a lot of information about these birds. So ringing plays a very important role in Kenya and actually in East Africa in trying to understand the movement and also trying to equip the ringers with basic skills. Fundamentals of Ornithology course is a pure birding course organized and run by three stakeholders: the Ornithology section of the National Museums of Kenya, the Nature Kenya, the Tropical Biology Association, and also Arocha Kenya, actually four, not three. So it has been running since 1996, I think, until now, and it has attracted a lot of people, and until now, about 560 people have attended this course, and mostly have been the tour guides, the site support groups of important bird areas in Kenya, wildlife resource managers from conservancies and ranches, and participants have come not only from Kenya, but we've received people taking this course from Tanzania, taking this course from Israel, and even Southern Sudan. So if you're a bird watcher or if you're a bird tour leader and you want to get some tips on how to improve your skills and how to improve your marketing, even in tourism, they have a lot of tips to provide, and it has been very active. Yeah, so annual waterfall census has been one of the key icon areas, especially that has played a very important role. What and This is not just a Kenyan thing, because waterfall census is carried out in 150 countries around the world and just been taking place over the last 50 years under the International Waterfall Census umbrella. So Kenya, this is our 30th year of taking part in this waterfall census by trying to understand how bird population and species-wise and migration are happening, especially on our Rift Valley lakes, and try to understand the movement of birds, the movement of huge populations, species, and so on. And this can give us basic details on the status of conservation status of these wetlands. And because of this census, some areas have been recorded and has been earmarked as important bird areas. Others have been uh, now been designated as Ramsar sites, and that's important for conservation of migratory species. And some have been even of late been designated as World UNESCO World Heritage Sites, and all these glory of these areas also help in their conservation, they help in their marketing and awareness and tourism. And tourism, as I said, will always go with the numbers of birds, especially a lot of people flock to Bogoria because of what was happening in Nakuru. And just like other things, people will move along with the bird numbers and so on. And photo that's Lake Bogoria, and whereby people just go and enjoy the birds at the very close range. Other places, like let's say in Tanzania, you cannot go very close to such areas to watch birds, because they are really a distance from areas you can reach to the closest. So they become very nice areas, and especially for bird lovers like those two people. Other areas actually that we have just started tapping in is what we call World Global Bird Day. And the one that has just happened in May is one of the most significant for our nation. Yeah, imagine a total of about 51,788 participants took part in this event. And you find that Kenya emerged position number 6 in the whole world. And it isn't, America was becoming number 10. Actually, America closed the rank by becoming number 10. And you find that in this position from number 1 to 10, it was only the countries from um, South America, like Peru, Colombia, Ecuador, Brazil, Bolivia, Mexico, Argentina, Venezuela, and USA. So you find just being mapped by eBird, Kenya being mapped on the world by eBird, that it was position number 6 with 811 species observed that day. Yeah, the first country, Peru, observed recorded 1,345 species. America, becoming number 10, recorded 726 species. So we are not really bragging, but we are just saying that just taking your time to participate in these activities and identifying your birds very well and recording them and submitting these records plays a very important role in mapping our country as a destination for birding. And people are watching these numbers from outside, and people are making decisions. If people used just to go to South America, they're seeing another opportunity area to come for birding. And the law picture is showing even young people participate in these activities. And it's not only when we used to go out and record birds in textbooks and in notebooks. That young boy in the middle is recording his birds by voice on the phone. So you don't need to carry a lot of hassles, but you can really suit into the technology and be able to record as much birds as possible. And you uplift the name of your country, Kenya. So another activity that has really promoted us here, and we're really working, that it's really being worked on, is what we call Kenya Bird Map. Kenya Bird Map is unique. The bird mapping is unique in East Africa because you find maybe we are the only country in East Africa mapping the birds and showing it's happening. And if we can, we find that 20% of the country as per now has been mapped as and identified and birds recorded in those areas. Yeah. Northeastern, as you can see on the map, northeastern and eastern part has been not really well done because, as you remember the map I showed you, maybe they're not much there, but also it's because of security and other issues. And so not much work has been done there. So from this map, you can see from West Africa, from Western Kenya, inside the Rift Valley, Kenya Highlands, and some parts of the Rift Valley, all down to the coastal shorelines. This is where a lot of work is being done. Yeah. So more than Kenyans have been registered on this, and they are submitting their records every time, and you can do it yourself. It's what you call citizen science, and you can really help in mapping out birds in your areas. You can register, and you can take time in showing what is found in your area. You need not to do a lot of work. Just take your phone, register yourself. You can be registered, find how you can register yourself at Nature Kenya or National Museums of Kenya Ornithology Office, and you can be part of the National Citizen Scientist to take part in recording what we have around. Another thing that has really publicized, has really make birding Kenya big is publication. We had this book on our right, the J.G. Williams, Birds of East Africa. That was as per 1990, I think 94. And then when it became 1995, 96, we had this very nice book that everybody was waiting for. That is Birds of Kenya and Northern Tanzania. And this publication has just swept over into now what we call the Birds of East Africa, which now even comes with an app that you can download, that you can buy on your phone. And then this app has even vocalization of different birds. Wow. From this small book all the way to all that literature, other literatures like top sites, top 50 top areas for birds. Wow. Other works that are done by especially Kenya Birding Magazine. We've got Kenya Important Bird Areas Trends that shows us what is happening in Kenya. So all these publications are coming every time. And because of technology and proximity to nice cameras and binoculars, people are able to go out, take pictures and come up with all the information. Nature Kenya, using the important bird areas, they bring out their markers in the channel every year, that shows the trends in conservation status of different areas in the important bird areas. All this is really, really good news for the nation, and people are now using this to publicize birding in the region. And I think has been a lot. I just want to say thank you very much for having listening, and I'll end there and welcome any question if possible. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Titus, for that very comprehensive, educative, informative, and interactive lecture and presentation about birds and tourism in Kenya. So maybe just as we move on, just a quick look at the chat box, and I see a lot of comments in there, lots of questions. So maybe I'll just go one by one. And if there's any participants that you would like to raise something, you can also drop in the chat box, and then we'll be able to handle it. To begin with, the first one is from Kate Pearson. And okay, initially was letting us know that he's joining the lecture, and greetings from Karichota, Burgred River, Mount Kenya. And he asked, is that a grub plover? There was a grub plover somewhere down there when you were doing the presentation of the Sabaki River estuary, and indeed it was a grub plover. Down there is a participant called Chintan P. Kohel, and he's asking a question to all. How can ordinary citizens take part in some of these activities? Personally, I heard about the waterbird census, but didn't get any info on how to join. I've also heard of bird ringing, but no info how to join. Titus, this is for you.
Okay, thank you very, very much for that wonderful question. You can join this, first of all. I think any questions raised about birding activities to Nature Kenya, they'll be able to refer you to where to go. But I can just say that Waterfall Census is an annual program that is organized by Nature Kenya, Kenya Wildlife Service, and museums to count birds every January, just to understand the trends of birds, of water birds in different areas. It's not only in Rift Valley lakes, but also everywhere that you can do it. And we are covering things like wetlands, other wetlands like man-made wetlands, sewerage ponds, and so on. So you will be able to get information from Nature Kenya, and they'll tell you exactly when we start these activities. Tuesday bird ringing is done every Tuesday here at the National Museums of Kenya. If you're visiting Nairobi, you can call in and find out if the activity is on, and they will give you direction. It's just within the National Museums of Kenya, and in the Botanical Gardens or Michuki, next to Michuki Park, and you can take part, and you can train and on how to handle birds. So I would say that Nature Kenya should give you directions on exactly when activities are happening, because these activities are normally put on a calendar every month to explain where things will be happening, and you can be able to take part. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much for your response, Titus. We'll be able to also get in touch with Chintan B. Kohel for more information on what he just raised. Maybe Chintan, you can also get in touch with the Nature Kenya membership office for more info. Another one from Paul Buckley, and says, great to see you and hear your interesting talk, Titus. I think it's one of the best countries in the world for birds. And yet I know UK companies who hardly run trips to Kenya. And I think there is still huge scope to get better promotion of the country. What else would you like to see done to promote the country better? Titus, can you respond?
Yeah, thank you very much. So happy to hear from you. Long time. Thank you so much for a very great observation. I think we need to do more on important bird areas to motivate people, especially the local people, and come in with the practical activities that like Nature Kenya is doing, but we should not maybe go in and identify exactly what people needs. Another thing is like what we really lacked here is like establishing what we call bird observatory centers, because as I've been talking to my colleagues, there is so many areas that migratory birds fly in. And we've seen in America, observatory areas like Hawk Mountains receive thousands of bird watchers just to come and see, and not really bird watchers, but also just people want to see migration taking place. We have migration in Kenya. We can identify such a places and maybe implement some observatories that can really help the local people, local guides, and so on, and also bring a lot of information about this. We don't get a lot of information about what these birds are doing in different areas. So such a kind of things can be done. Also supporting those people who are enthusiasts, like interns at Nature Kenya or interns at museums who want to get like to participate in international ring sites like Ngulia ring site, where they can get experience to do a lot of ringing, get experience to meet other international ringers, exchange views, exchange ideas. That can be really, really, really be well. I would really love to see that happening. And I think that's what I'll like to, there are many things I would like to see to see done, but that's the few things I'll point out as per now.
Thank you very much, Titus, for that. Moving down, we have Simon is giving in something. If you enjoy Kenyan bird diversity and bird photography, please check out my work at Kenyan Birder on Instagram. Thank you very much for that info. From Peter, nice talk, Dr. Titus Imboma. Thank you. From Edward Orieto, asante sana daktari. From Karanja Gakio, is Titus referring to the Birds of Africa app on Google Play Store by Mountain Hope Software? Titus, will you respond to that?
No, I've not used the software, but I was saying the software that is used for the birds of East Africa. That's just an app that you can use, which has you can buy on your phone for about 3,000 shillings, and it comes with the colors of the pages of the book and also the sounds, the bird calls. So it's really, really a tool for you to use. I was not referring to that one that you just mentioned.
Thank you, Titus, for that. From Keith Pearson again, he's asking, is there a link to the fundamentals of ornithology course?
Yes, there is a link. That is, I think also get to Nature Kenya and they will give you the link to fundamentals of ornithology course. We've not done it last year, and I was just asking yesterday, it might be on maybe depending on vaccination and how people will have done, got their vaccinations and how Corona will be, and then we can start again. So it normally runs once per year. So get back to Nature Kenya and they'll give you the details about it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Titus, for that. And from Brian Waswala, thank you for eloquent, informative presentation, Dr. Imboma. From Alex Zembele, thanks, Dr. for the talk. Elias Maina, thanks, Dr. for the informative presentation. And Paul Buckley have dropped a website down here. Karanja, the Birds of Africa app is from www.africanbirdclub.org. Thank you for that clarification. And okay, from Jintan again, he's already our member, and we've been doing birding with him, actually 2 bird walks in Gong this year. Thank you very much. From Paul Buckley again, just maybe trying to expound more. It's a free app and will strongly recommend it. It is still evolving and just starting to cover East Africa over the next few months. Thank you very much for that. From Mary Mutembei, very informative and interesting presentation. I have heard of ornamental birds, which are normally domesticated. Are this part of agritourism? Any promotion activities in this area?
Yes, ornamental birds can be for tourism, especially for specific areas and specific ornamental birds. Yeah, they can be, which can include even poultry. So there's some kind of poultry that can be kept as ornamental. And if well advertised, they can be reached as very nice key areas for for people to come and visit. But when we talk about tourism, we don't only necessarily talk about international tours, because even schools will be happy to come and see such birds and learn more, and they'll really be a tool for, they'll really appreciate to learn things out of them and be able to learn the history of those ornamental birds and many other things. So yeah, I'll also, in such areas, I'll be happy to visit and see such birds. They can be ornamental, they can be for tourism. And in other areas, people have used ornamental birds like some kinds of um, cockatoos, and they have been used and to entertain people. And if they are well used, they can be used for ornamental. But we don't say that we go around catching local birds that in the endangered or endemic birds like the gray parrots, and catching them for ornamental. There are those birds, ornamental birds, that can be um, um, Kenya Wildlife Service will recommend for you to use. So you can also visit Kenya Wildlife Service and understand some of the birds that can be kept. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Titus, for the response. John Doherty, fascinating talk, and nice to see Samburu National Reserve on the final slide. Thank you. From Joshua Wambugu, nice presentation, Titus. A lot of information is available about birds and birding in Kenya. However, this information are available to limited population, mainly those interested in birds. Do you have any ideas on how to engage county governments to expand the knowledge on birds and birding hotspots within the different counties, and potentially marking these hotspots or field with simplified signage involving locals or landowners of land where hotspots are not in protected areas?
County councils, some county councils have interest, some don't have interest. And it is like some county councils will take interest on what they will, I think they'll want to make some cash and also some finances to their counties. And there are also very huge uh, opportunities for this. Uh, like counties like Nakuru, for example, or counties like Nairobi, for example, they can make use of things like uh, their own facilities like sewage treatment sites. If they can make very well, imagine how 4,000 flamingos on Nakuru sewage. And if this place can be made nice, and not even just flamingos, huge flocks of waders in such sites, if these areas can be marketed for only just a few coins of entry fee, people can really flock in just to go and watch birds. I'm happy to, my colleagues go to Dandora sewage every time, oftenly. Imagine if that such areas can be open for public. Yeah, yeah, it's true. We can work with local county governments, and some we are working with them, because they, when we count birds in their counties like Thika and also here in Nairobi, they request for those information. They request for the outcome published, and they use this information. I was just called the other day by one of the person I even didn't know from Nairobi sewage treatment, and he said, "I'm so and so. I'm here, and we're having students now with interest on working on these birds that are coming to our sewage ponds." So yeah, some county councils are really responsive. Some are not really responding, and probably maybe it's time that we can make them respond, and make some of these areas open, and put in even facilities. The government should put in more facilities to facilitate such areas, especially if we can have a law that can allow every county to have a nice uh, sewer treatment site that can, that can remove effluent in a nice way and leave such areas for birding. That can be really an interesting attraction. You never know which different counties can produce in such areas. Yeah, counties like Kericho can open areas for birding, especially around the T-zones, yeah? Then on the road, you can stop and check out, and they can map out that this is a arboretum for the T for birding. You can stop in, and if you can have like a place where you can have a soda as you look at the birds, why not? Such things are open. Each county has a different resource, and they all have unique resources in this nation. And they are so blessed with wonderful, good resources. If they're well tapped, they will provide a lot for them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Titus, for that. It's really indeed comprehensive. From Emma Gituku, how can we go about setting up a bird observatory center on a private ranch between Southeast and Southwest National Parks? Who can we develop this idea with? Titus.
Yeah, as I was presenting this, I looked at observatory centers as key for to gain a lot from birds. And I think to do this, maybe we can develop this with different stakeholders. Maybe you can start with Nature Kenya and let them know exactly what you want to do. And then we can go on the next step and see where it is sitting. And if it's sitting next to Kenya Wildlife Service, and see how it can, what exactly can be, which birds can really be attracted in such areas, because there are many other areas where especially you can do things like other programs like bird walks, bird ringing, and so on, that can attract people, passerbys, or can attract people for holidays. Or what can you provide, like even if it's just a camping site, and then from the camping side, you can develop nature trails. And then from nature trails, you can provide a monitoring program for some species of birds you have. I don't know exactly what you have in the observatory, but you can develop it from different perspectives. First of all, maybe we can start from a campsite. Then from a campsite, when people are camping, what can they see? What can they take home with? And then such things can be attracting to people. So maybe it's a process we should look in. And it's just my idea was floating around. And thank you very much for having really seen possibility for this. I think we can discuss, we can talk, and we can come out with possible solutions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Titus, for that. From Josephat Marin, a very informative and interesting presentation. Thanks, Doctor. From Chintan, again, is it possible for Nature Kenya to organize, or at the very least assist others in visiting parts of the country for bird watching and bird photography? There are a lot of locations that has been mentioned, but information is hard to get in some cases. In some cases, there are costs involved in visiting places. For example, Arabukosokoke charge 2,400 to 4,800 shillings to do bird watching, but this info is not easily available. Organizing a group bird walk will help increase the learning experience and reduce the costs for all. So maybe just to mention a bit to Chintan about this is Nature Kenya, we've been organizing the field trips, the camping trips to most of the Kenya's important bird areas and with our members. But as a result of COVID, we have put it on hold shortly, but we also resumed doing the bird walks that Titus just mentioned a few minutes ago during his presentations. That's actually some of the things that we normally do. And about assisting others in visiting parts of the country for bird watching and bird photography. During the presentation, also, Dr. Titus mentioned something that we've been having a lot of people from the country. We've been having quite a number of tour operators who have been reaching out to Nature Kenya, reaching out to ornithology section of the National Museums of Kenya on advice on particular important bird areas, so that they can, come up with an ultimate itinerary for birding. So it's also something that we've been assisting the stakeholders in bird tourism to come up with the viable itineraries depending on the season and also on the areas of interest or the interest species which they want to see. So I also really encourage that maybe before you visit a particular place and you feel you want to go to do birding there is no sufficient information, you can always reach us in Nature Kenya office. I will share our email address at the end of this talk so that you can always reach out. Like the case of Arabuko Sokoke, we normally work with, the presenter mentioned something about site support groups. We're working with these community groups in these designated important bird areas, and they're really doing a lot of birding down there, lots of conservation activities, and we are constantly in touch with them. So maybe reaching out also to our office for such more information. We'll really be having, very fresh and real-time information from the ground. That's what I have to say about that. Maybe Titus, if you have something to add on top.
Just come up again. I was reading this one. Yeah, there are lots of activities. As I can see, somebody is asking down there about other concentration on endemic bird areas, concentration on bird IBS. Yeah, we cannot. These opportunities are also open in Nairobi, and maybe Nairobi would be a unique one because of the mobility, but also the site support groups, the IBS, can be reached, especially, I think things have gone a little bit slow because of this pandemic. We shall also always look at it as a cause of not doing a lot of things. But I think with the site support groups, things can be organized and things can be done, and people can reach wherever they want, especially now that after the country is open up, uh, people can make phone calls in different areas they want to travel, like, and those areas meet different site support group members. Some of them are tour leaders, tour guides, and so on, and be able to plan for some things that they can do, like birding. They can do it. Can be done in cities as well, like Nairobi. We've got for example, a bird ringing group here at the museum. We've got Sunday potluck, whereby the Nature Kenya organizes one birding activity once every one Sunday every month. They do that. We sometimes have ringing out, like a weekend, a Friday bird ringing at Karen, whereby we get different other species, forest birds, and so on. There's so many activities we can do, but they can be organized. They need time, and also some of them, as you say, they'll need resources. But coming up together, maybe we can identify how some of the things can be worked on minimal, amicable resources.
Okay, thank you very much, Titus, for that addition. From Karanja Gakio, great, thanks, Paul, and thank you for an excellent presentation, Titus. My first time to attend this, and we welcome you to really be attending. We'll be keeping you posted whenever we have any other talk that is coming up. Tara Joshua, nice presentation indeed, Dr. Titus Imboma. Thank you very much. Stephen Lenawarungu. Marsabit have lots of bird species, but the road up north is killing lots of them, especially birds of prey. Anything that can be done? Okay, and Jintan had a concern about how is the road leading to bird deaths? What is the root cause? It's also curious to know. So maybe as Titus, you digest on that, maybe we can just move on and pick in some here, like from Benjamin Kinyili. Wonderful presentation on birds and tourism in Kenya. However, there are some areas people are poisoning birds to eliminate them. Also, dump sites have birds which interfere with aircrafts along flight paths. What efforts have you put to sensitize communities and address these issues? Kindly comment.
So maybe I'll comment about the road kills. Road kills, because I think the road must be very new, and it's got a lot of quite some rodents alongside. And birds, when they're flying for the rodents, most of them get killed. And probably the roads are not been put with the speed bumps. They are new, and they think because they are heading into areas with less people, there are no speed bumps at all. So maybe that should be put in considerations, because there should be speed bumps, especially in places, even though there are no people passing, wildlife is crossing, especially in the north. There's a lot of wildlife. It may not be only birds, but also wildlife. So maybe we should contact the county governments and let them know that when these roads are passing through these wildlife areas, that even though they don't have much people, they become very, well, birds become very vulnerable, wildlife becomes very vulnerable. So one thing is probably to speed the limits of the speeding vehicles, because now that the roads are already there, we may not have a say on how we can handle things like rodents that are moving along the roads, because those are the could be the key attraction. I would suppose. Dumping site. This is a big problem we have, I think, in Kenya. And as I mentioned out, the best thing to do it, and I'll repeat it again, Nakuru National Park, Nakuru County, Thika, and Nairobi have one of the best, probably, treatment, not dumping site. Nairobi dumping site is not good because it's got a lot of dump sites. But the treatment sewage plants have been handled very well, because they support a lot of communities of birds without any problem. The problem of dumping site affecting flight, especially, I was told Nakuru has just expanded its airport or airstrip. I think that would be a problem, because having an airport next to a wetland, which is actually a migratory site, we may have little to control now if it's already working. But if EIA would have been done, probably they would have advised better on how such an airport would have been set up, or if there could be another alternative site apart from next to Nakuru National Park. That is a disaster. It would be a disaster, probably, I would say, I would think of. So we may have very less on, we always advise on how we can dump our solid waste, especially now, after that some trees have been cut along the road from the airport all the way to Westlands. We are having a problem of marabou stocks, and they will be coming at your doorstep or to your offices now. Be ready in Nairobi, because they are spreading towards following people. And this is the problem because of the dumping. Because if we are not, we had a well-organized way that we can manage our solid waste, right from consumables to things like recyclables and other manner of things, we could not have this mess of birds around. Things, or everything will be working very well. But as long as we still have the problem in managing our solid waste, and the population is growing up every day, this is going to be a problem with us that we should be ready to live with, if something cannot be worked out. Because this can be probably be put into like policies that can enable us. There could be policies with the county councils on how to do this, but probably we should look in terms of not just dumping waste, but looking at wildlife as well, and how they can be affected by this dumping of the waste, because this is going to affect a lot of areas, quite some areas, the flights and so on, especially in urban centers. I think so.
Okay, thank you very much, Titus, for elaborating that. From Emma Gituku, thank you, Dr. Titus. The ranch hosts a Kenya Wildlife Service camp. I will get in touch with Nature. I will get in touch through Nature Kenya. Thank you very much. You're most welcome. I will be sharing the email to reach us on. Stephen Lenawarungu is also trying to add something on top. Chintan, due to overspeeding, a lot of animals are knocked down, leaving the birds to come and feed on the roads. As a result of that, they also get killed. Margaret Vaz, thank you for such inspiring talk. And last here is from Peter Njeru. We conservationists have long put focus on bird conservation in key biodiversity areas and important bird areas, but we tend to put less effort in our urban areas. How can cities help solve our bird biodiversity crisis and boost conservation efforts? Linear development infrastructure has been a big concern on our major highways. It's important for us to drive policies and designs that can be incorporated in the planning and designing phases of our transmission lines. Maybe Titus, do you have anything to say there?
Yeah, local birds are very important, and we know very less about local birds because we concentrate a lot on birds that we think are a problem, especially in conservation. But using this bird map, we've realized that local birds will mean a lot. Some birds maybe are facing off that we don't know. Other birds are becoming, populations are growing up that we don't know. So local birds monitoring is very good, and I will just advise people to, or encourage, not really advise, but encourage people to continue mapping. So if you continue mapping and you continue joining birding activities and recording your information recorded and presented to authorities is better than information recorded and kept in the books, because, and that's why online birding becomes an instrumental in trying to understand especially what's happening. We can use those numbers and those sightings to be able to map out and be able to tell exactly what is happening on our local birds. So please get on this um, bird map activity and take bird need. But you can do it anywhere that you are. And mark you, even people now in Ethiopia and Somali, some 2 or 3 people have gotten into this and are recording and sending their records. So sending those records, however, it may just be a common bulbul, or it can maybe a house sparrow, or a mouse bird, has a lot of information in understanding. Because from this, we realized that house sparrows arrived in Nairobi in 1995. And where are they now? They're almost everywhere. They had been kept at the coast for not kept, they've been dominated coastal lines for where they were introduced for long. And only in 1995, they came to Nairobi. And we can only see this by looking at the sightings and recordings that people have made. And your recordings are very important. Your citations are very important. And it's for me, I just say, encourage you, go out, observe birds, encourage school people to observe birds, school children to observe birds, record those birds and send those records. They may be of a very significant, value for the conservation. So some of those birds that may look very common. House sparrow is becoming an endangered species in UK, for example, and it used to be common. So they can tell us a lot of things that is happening. Maybe the way we are, our lifestyles or our agricultural activities and such a kind of anthropogenic use of our habitats and how they're affecting these common birds, because we may not know. I agree with you, and thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Titus, for that. I think we have come to an end of all the issues that was raised through our chat box. And I see Jairus Koki have raised up his hand. Maybe I think he has something to say. Jairus, if you can hear us, you can go ahead. You can unmute yourself and tell us something. Okay. I think we can get Jairus. So thank you very much, each and every participant, for joining us for our today's very informative presentation by Dr. Titus about birds and tourism in Kenya. I see just a chat that has come in from Martin Mbadi. Good afternoon. Do we have any sites in Kitui area? I think this should be sites. Titus.
I may not have a. There must be a site in Kitui, but I may not have an answer straight away. But maybe we can have a look. Just get in touch with Richard, and then we shall get back to you. Thank you.
Yes, exactly. I actually wanted to say something, but Peter Kibobi, our conservation officer, have actually mentioned that we have the Mutitu and Mumoni Hills. Mutitu and Mumoni Hills are the latest entrance into our important bird area list. So we have those two in Kitui, the Mutitu and Mumoni. So thank you very much, each and everyone, for joining us today for our members talk. That's really been a great pleasure having you on board. Thank you very much to our presenter, Dr. Titus Imboma, for taking us through smoothly. So just an announcement to make is to let each and every one of you know that our Wednesday bird walks are still on. And every Wednesday, we are meeting at 8 a.m. here at Nairobi National Museum grounds, so that we do it within here and also in Michuki Memorial Park. And our third Sunday Birdwatch, which is this coming Sunday on 15th, we are going to Ngong Road Forest Sanctuary. So we are meeting at the main gate at 8:30 a.m. I welcome each and every one of you to join us in those activities. We walk together the birding journey. So maybe just to let you know about the email addresses that you can reach us on in case you still need more information of about our talks and also some of those other issues that you wanted to reach us on. You can reach us on nkmembership at naturekenya.org, nkmembership@naturekenya.org, or news@naturekenya.org. Otherwise, thank you very much. We appreciate you all and do have a good evening. We can now leave at our own pleasure.